Welcome back. Our next guest is a local attorney here to share some insight on new trends in paying for legal services. Ido Wolny, welcome to Eye to Eye.
Thanks for having me.
You know, more than ever, people are looking for high value, whether it's product or services. And the legal profession is responding to that need, isn't it?
Slowly but surely.
Slowly.
Slowly. The trend towards alternative billing methods has been talked about for about the last 25 years. And I would say in about the last 3 to 5 years, it's started to get more traction. And as the economies continue to stay rather flat, in the last year or two, it's been getting more and more attention.
All right. Obviously, there's a lot of legal jargon we're going to try to avoid just to make this relevant to our viewers so they, can understand, hey, this is important because sometime in their life, most people are going to need legal services. And so you talk about alternative fee structures. What do we say? I mean, most attorneys bill by the hour, is that correct?
That's by far the most common method of billing. And I also think that's the method that most consumers feel uncomfortable with, because essentially what you have is an attorney telling you what they're going to charge you hour for hour, but never or rarely telling you how many hours they're going to invest in your project. And so alternative billing methods, the most common method is to just quote a flat fee for the project, where the consumer will tell the attorney what project they need done, the attorney will quote a fee, and that's just what it'll be.
So flat fees, is there like fixed rates and success fees as well?
There are a number of ways of doing that. In personal injury law, there's contingency fees, which means that oftentimes the attorneys won't unless they win money in the case that they're litigating. And so that's another alternative billing arrangement.
All right. You're in estate planning, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and when did you make the switch?
I made the switch about 8 years ago. I just decided that for my practice, I had done the sorts of planning that I wanted to do with clients enough times that I knew with a great amount of certainty what these particular engagements were going to require time-wise. And so I went away from giving estimates or quoting a billable rate and just telling clients, your project is going to cost X number of dollars. If you like it, we'll do the work, and if you don't, we won't.
Along with journalists, attorneys aren't exactly high on the ladder of most admired professions. And so this is, I would imagine, helping to open up a communication between a client and attorney, isn't it?
Tremendously so. When the client knows that not every email, not every phone call, not every question about the work that's being done is going to be followed by a bill that comes in the mail, oftentimes a surprising bill, that helps the relationship tremendously.
You know, I've read some journals, the ABA Journal, American Bar Association, and I see article after article about, kill the billable hour. So there seems to be a nationwide movement, isn't there?
Surprisingly, attorneys hate billable hours. It's not fun to have to live your life when you're keeping track of everything you're doing in 6-minute increments or 15-minute increments. But it's part of what we do. We don't sell products. We generally are selling our time. And so it's a matter of how do you recoup that time. And so if we can get away from it, I think any lawyer will tell you, perhaps privately, if there's a way not to have to bill on a billable hour, they love to do it. It's just a matter of making it work financially.
Do you see smaller, say, boutique firms moving toward this more so than the large mega firms?
For sure. I mean, I think the trend is certainly starting on the small and mid-sized firm level because they're a lot more flexible. You have less attorneys that you have to deal with. The big firms have historically been on billable hour systems, and so to make a switch midstream is going to affect them much more significantly, whereas new firms that are either sprouting up or firms that have been around for a while but have to change very few people's methods of billing could obviously be more flexible, and so they're getting a lot of, they're moving to that system a lot more easily.
We're talking more than just the legal profession, though. There are some other occupations that are moving toward getting rid of the billable hour as well.
For sure. I mean, I deal primarily in the financial services industry just because of what I do, and I've noticed a real trend with accountants, with financial service professionals, investment people, to go to a fee-based system so that they too can get off the clock.
What should consumers ask themselves before deciding which route to take?
I think the most important thing is to just know that there are options out there. Part of the trend is to empower the consumer. It allows them to make the decision about how they want to be billed, who they want to work with. And just knowing that they've got that choice and perhaps shopping around, it's empowering.
Yeah, do their shopping, no doubt about that. But Do you still feel there's perception out there that, listen, okay, billable hour, flat rate fee, the attorneys are going to get their money one way or the other. How do I know what they're saying is actually going to benefit me in the long run? You say you get do your homework.
Do your homework for sure. And it's not an easy answer to come to. There are going to be situations where a flat fee arrangement just isn't going to be possible. There are certain transactions where there are just too many variables, and it would be impossible to guess how much time would be involved. And so sometimes there isn't going to be an option about an alternative billing arrangement. But I'm seeing new and creative attorneys coming up with ways to segment different engagements so that perhaps not the entire engagement would be on a flat fee or an alternative arrangement. Perhaps parts of it would be. And so the consumer should think about, what's the nature of my problem? Is it something that is more open-ended or something that we can really quantify so that a flat fee arrangement or an alternative billing arrangement might really be an option? Mm-hmm. And then it's a matter of finding attorneys who are willing to consider that alternative.
Like so many other trends, did the switch toward flat fee services begin on the coasts?
That's generally how things happen. Mm-hmm. The trend has really taken off on the East Coast and the West Coast and is slowly but surely making its way into the center part of the country. But for my colleagues who are practicing on the coast, this has been something that they've been talking about and moving to for years.
Mm-hmm. You've been practicing law for how long?
About 11 years now.
11 years. And so things have changed. It changes quickly. And aren't young attorneys, the amount of hours they're expected to work each year certainly have gone up, haven't they?
Significantly. Mm-hmm. And rates have gone up. And that creates a tremendous amount of pressure not only on the attorneys but also on the clients, because someone is got to pay for the overhead and the salaries. And so attorneys do need to get paid. It's a profession just like any other. But it's a matter of finding a way to make sure that it makes sense so that you get paid for one engagement or one project, you have the client come back for the next one and the one after that, and not get upset because there was a billing issue or a relationship issue and then go on to some other attorney next time. All
right, we will wrap up our conversation with local attorney Ida Wolny when I continues right after this message. Welcome back. Local estate planning attorney Ida Wolny is our guest, talking about the trend toward getting rid of billable hours to alternative fee structures for legal services and other services as well. What should, say, a small boutique firm in town consider before making that switch?
I think the big thing to remember is that this is still a business. While flat fee billing, for example, is a great alternative, what those attorneys want to make sure they know is, what are you really getting into with this engagement? The last thing that you want to do is enter into a project, quote a flat fee that you're really going to hold yourself to, and find out that you're spending an inordinate amount of time on that project so that you're really getting paid pennies for the hours that you're spending, because that could turn out to be a real financial disaster for the firm.
And you've got someone who's maybe had a relationship with an attorney for a long time who continues to do the billable hours. What do they need to do? If they, instead of just leaving that person, I suppose they could just ask.
Just ask.
Yeah.
I think the fact of the matter is that a lot of attorneys don't like billable hours. And if they can get away from it, I think they would consider the opportunity. Sometimes the client should just ask, is it something that attorney would consider?
Do you see consumers, your clients, much more savvy these days just because of the resources available to them?
Not only that, but the economy certainly has a lot to do with things. As people are more and more concerned about budgets, it's hard when you've got the billable hour system, because there are months where, if you've got a long-term engagement, fees are going to be high some months, low other months, and it's hard to do budgets that way. If you've got a flat fee, one of the things that you can do is really budget that out over the course of time so that every month the bill is always the same. I've actually had the pleasure of watching clients open their bills of mine that have arrived, and it's nice to see them not open it with one eye kind of shut and squinting, sure, where they know exactly what's going to be in that envelope, and I think that's empowering.
Ida Wolny, I want to thank you for stopping by, providing some insight on this new trend in Milwaukee and around the country.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and for